Hey guys, Marcus here from BlackOvis. I am here with John Barklow, the Senior Product Line Manager of Hunting at Sitka Gear. We are talking about a couple new products that I'm personally very excited about, the Ambient line of a hoodie and a jacket. What can you tell us about this new product?
Yeah, so the first thing I think people need to know about the Ambient collection is it's what we call active insulation or active hybrid insulation. So, how many times have we all started out in the morning, it's cool, it's a pre-dawn start, we want to hike up to a glassy knob, but it's cool, sun hasn't come over the horizon. So we put something on, we start hiking halfway up, we overheat the system, we have to stop, we have to take that layer off, to then put it back on when we get to the top of the ridge. Active insulation is incredibly breathable. So the most basic form of active insulation would be fleece. What we've done with the Ambient line is we've taken our Kelvin Active series that's been very popular and we've just improved upon that. So it's a new insulation from Primaloft coupled with a 20D nylon face, but what these pieces represent is active insulation for any hunter, no matter what you're doing. If you're out generating heat, so think hiking to the top of the ridge, think walking into your tree stand, think setting up a bunch of deeks in the morning, trying to get ready before you settle down and and kind of go into hunt mode. That's what this hybrid active insulation is for. And so what we did with the Ambient is we have a hoodie, so it's a half zip with sleeves in 100-gram insulation. So this is going to be for people like you and I going on those active big game hunts like I had just referenced. But then we also have a 150-gram in men's and women's without a hood. It's got a full zip, and this is going to be for maybe again that whitetail hunter, that waterfowl hunter, a little bit deeper into big game season when the rifles come out and it's getting a little colder. So anytime we're moving and generating heat, this is where the Ambient is going to really have its place.
Awesome. And when we talk about Sitka a lot, we're talking about building a system. And this is why I'm so excited about this line, because my go-tos before were the Kelvin Active jacket and what we call the Belichick, which is the Kelvin Active hoodie. And one of my favorite uses of those jackets were to use them when I was active, and when I get to a ridgetop, when I get to where I'm going to glass, I put on a shell. I put on a protective layer, but I have that active insulation to dump heat, but also keep me warm on those really cool mornings.
The 20D nylon face that we have on there, it's going to provide durability. So if you have to bust through a little brush, you have to climb up through a scree field, it's not going to, you're not going to be able to put a hole in this or wear it out very quick. The Kelvin Active jacket's one of my favorite pieces.
Oh yeah.
But what we were able to do is, if you remember, that jacket has a liner, right? So we've been able to remove the liner. So what you actually see here is not just the liner of the garment, this is the actual insulation. So what does that do? Well, one, by not having the mesh liner, you remove some weight. So that's perfect. You also remove some bulk, which is really important to any of us if we're putting it in our pack. But the other thing that it does from a performance standpoint is because you removed one layer, the moisture is going to move through so much quicker. So you're going to find a much broader application for this than you did even with the Kelvin Active jacket, which quite frankly at the time was cutting edge and as good as we could make it. And as soon as we got that out in the market, then we started playing around with what you call the Belichick, right? Which I love that piece. And so this is now, those were Polartec insulations. These are now Primaloft, and we worked with Primaloft to develop these insulations and these particular weights so that we could bring out a broader offering to more hunters.
Yeah. Well, when I was even building my own Sitka system, that was one piece I never thought I needed, ever. Of all the Sitka pieces, I was like, you know what, I don't need a short sleeve, little active insulation piece. And then when I tried it, I did not leave without it, ever. I mean, it's one of the most versatile pieces, and I feel like it never got its day in the sun. People didn't understand how incredible it is to add in an active insulation layer to your system. And now that this has sleeves and it's got its product launch, I think it's going to be a bit more well known. People are going to pick up on, oh, that active insulation is incredible. It's so versatile.
Yeah, so I'll take the blame for cutting the sleeves off, right?
That's okay.
Sometimes maybe I outmaneuver myself, but the performance was there, but I think you're right. Some people were just not willing to kind of, you know, take that next step and try that piece. But now I think with the hoodie, especially with sleeves, but now these other two pieces in 150, you know, and then, you know, we've got, so this is in marsh, and, you know, you got to think the whitetail hunter and waterfowl hunter have really never had pieces like this. They've never been able to experience pieces like this. Last year, I think it was 2 years ago in Iowa, I was actually trying out the first proto of the hoodie, and I wore it to kill my buck in Iowa, hunting out of a tree stand. And I was like, this has to be a whitetail piece as well. And then getting the 150, so the heavyweight jacket on people, you know, when they're out there setting up a couple hundred decoys in a field and it's cold out, if they've got a traditional puffy on, they're gonna sweat themselves, they're gonna overheat, and then they're gonna sit in a blind or lay down in the field and they're gonna get cold. So those hunting disciplines are gonna get to experience active insulation like they've never had to before, and or never been able to before. And I think it's gonna be really cool to see the adoption. And then the other thing we did was, you know, we also wanted to bring out some solid colors. So you're gonna see some solid colors of all these things. I think I mentioned it, but there's going to be a women's version of the jacket. The input from the women we've had it, you know, got to try it was just like unbelievable. Like they're like, this is my favorite piece now because it's soft, it's comfortable, it's warm, it breathes. They, you know, because they don't want to overheat because they get colder a little quicker than men. So I think we've really expanded on what used to be the Kelvin Active platform. Now with the Ambient, and I'm really excited to see the adoption across, you know, the full hunting spectrum.
And I'm glad you mentioned that you're adding these into the waterfowl and the whitetail world, because I think that might be a question for a lot of you. Is this piece applicable to my type of hunting? And it is. From your own experience, that it is a heavy hitter, and it's something that you can add to your Sitka system. So I'm glad that you mentioned that as well.
Yeah, you know, as soon as anybody's moving and they're going to generate heat and then they're going to be static, right? Which is most of what we do in hunting. We're going to commute to a certain area and then we're going to set up. Be it, you know, chasing a turkey, setting up deeks, getting into a tree stand, going to a glassing knob. Any of those applications are the same use profile for the Ambient. So like I said, the adoption is going to be broader than it is. I think this technology is really going to get kind of its day in court. And I think people are going to find a really big increase in their overall system performance because of that. So, you know, us big game guys who kind of kept this to ourselves, you know, a lot of people are going to, you know, be able to try this now.
Yeah, it is definitely a piece worth looking into. If you have any questions about this, make sure to comment below, give us a call. This is Sitka's latest offering, and we are very excited about it. Thanks for watching.